Tales from the Royal Intervention Bureau. Oliver, talk to me. How close is the alien to Fleur and Veronica's position?
5 yards and closing. Remember ladies, this is an alien that's used to moving around undetected. Whatever you do, do not act as though you are walking towards them.
Got it, boss. Ronnie and I are en route.
V, take your fingers away from the earpiece. People will notice.
Ladies, focus. This is a covered sting operation, and you need to make sure you do not spook the alien. This is the closest we've gotten to this gunrunner in weeks. If we don't apprehend this thing now, it could disappear for God knows how long.
Exactly what the boss said, ladies. You're nearly in front of the alien. Once you're there, look like you're taking a photo for Instabook chat. The bureau phone has been outfitted with an ultraviolet flash, which should offset the alien's light reversing skin, making it
light up like a glow stick, hopefully making it easy to catch and capture.
Exactly. And, boss?
Yes, Oliver.
Good luck with the audit, with the big chief.
Yeah, thanks. I'll need it. I may have little respect for the Prime Minister, but I'm beginning to understand why he's always so tense after he's come back from his own meeting at
Buckingham Palace, sir. Just heading through security now.
Alright, Ronnie, this looks like a pretty good spot for today's recall post.
Definitely Fleur. Let me just put it on flash.
Oh, my eyes.
There you are.
Huh. What have you done to me?
After him.
He went that way.
See if you can outrun this, you glowy freak.
No. Let me out.
Ha! Hook, line and sinker. Gotcha, stinker.
That was easier than I thought it would be.
Well, don't complain about it. In a job like ours, would you be surprised if manifesting was real?
I can concur. Manifesting is very real.
Shut it, E.T.
R-O-O-R-O.
You know, I think we may have been given the easy job today. I don't know about you, but I would not be able to be in a room, pleading our case to
Director Joah Ferjali, of the Royal Intervention Bureau, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty.
Director Ferjali, apologies for the mispronunciation.
Not at all, sir. With a surname like mine, you get used to it.
I can imagine. Shall we? So, this is your first proper audit, since being promoted to the rank of Director?
Yes, sir. I believe the last audit was between both of our predecessors. My condolences, by the way.
Thank you, Director. To you as well. I understand your predecessor met an untimely end.
Yes, sir. He was killed in action on a mission back in 2020, and so I was very much thrust into this position as the only viable candidate.
But from what I can see here, the right candidate to carry on the task of replacing the Torchwood Institute. The work you've done over the last 3 years is highly commendable, to say the least.
Thank you, sir. I like to think the Bureau have done a lot since its inception in 2016. For instance, the shortage rifts around Coal Hill School have all been sealed, and Miss McClagan was cured of her condition
by means of reversed engineered mental transference technology, uncovered by the same group of teenagers, I believe.
Combined with Sunter and Resurrection medical devices, our Chief of Science and Research at the main branch in Yorkshire came up with that one.
Is truly brilliant, and you've done a splendid job with helping Cardiff recover from that rather suspicious tsunami back in 2017.
Yes, and I'm happy to report that the extraterrestrials responsible for the whole ordeal are no longer a threat.
Yes, I did note that. And it seems the RIB have been coming down very hard on other disruptive aliens since you took over. And as I understand it, you removed the rotating headquarters policy so that the RIB heads of branch meeting always occurs at the UK branch in Yorkshire.
That's correct, sir. While it may have been decimated by its own failures, the Torchwood Institute had the right idea to keep the hub of operations in the United Kingdom.
But that was more out of necessity since Torchwood operated in the United Kingdom alone. The RIB is for the benefit of all sovereign nations of the Commonwealth. I'm not sure alienating the other branch leaders is the way to start your premiere as director of the entire RIB. When was the last time you visited another institute?
I haven't visited another institute in 3 years.
You haven't? Ah. Not since Director Parish. I understand. That said, there is the matter of the ethics of the Bureau.
Sir,
As I understand it, you took charge of the so-named alien purges between 2017 and 2019, whilst you were still head of the Yorkshire branch, in response to the Sorvix invasion and the committee destroying Torchwood 3. You used rift manipulator technology to open temporary rifts at the Yorkshire branch's base to deport aliens back to their home planets.
I did, sir. Aliens that we had apprehended had their technology seized, and then were sent on their way.
Well, that is what I take issue with. Many of those aliens are, as far as we know, refugees on this planet, much like the refugees who flee to the United Kingdom from unimaginable circumstances. And I fear that the RIB in Yorkshire under your leadership has taken a much too hard approach. You're acting like vigilantes, and the aliens you've apprehended are not, as far as I'm aware, getting any sort of criminal trial.
With all due respect, sir, these aliens have powers and abilities unlike any human. When they cause trouble, they don't just rob a shop or cause a riot, they cause mass murder across the streets. Just look at the Sorvix. They took over Cardiff by eating people. Normal, innocent, good people. So what else are we to do? There's hardly any law that grants them the same rights and privileges as citizens of this planet.
And I understand your frustrations. Our national security is the RIB's first priority. But what of your moral security? Surely a young man of your background should be able to have a little empathy for these aliens.
I would argue that my experience, as a former asylum seeker, is hardly the same as those of the aliens that I apprehend.
Well, that's where you and I differ. And I'm not sure the RIB can be allowed to continue without further review.
A review? Do you mean like a suspension of operations, sir?
Yes, Director. All things considered, I think it is time for a thorough review by the RIB Correspondence Office here at the Palace.
Sir, I understand that as the Sovereign, you have every right to suspend the RIB's operations. But if I might request that you forestall the suspension until the end of the week. My operatives have just apprehended an invisible alien we've been tracking for months.
From the alien narcotics epidemic case?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Of course, on the condition that you report back any findings by the end of the week. If I still have reason to doubt your methods, Director Ferjali, I will suspend the RIB. And your funding from the Privy Purse will be the first thing to be reviewed.
Understood, sir.
Good day, Director.
Good day, Your Majesty.
Martina, how's the analysis going on the narcotic poppies we confiscated from the alien?
Oh, it's a match all right. This ET is definitely our guy.
Yes. Speaking of the ET, what exactly are we dealing with here?
Well, when we were finally able to collect a DNA sample, the database came back with a match. His Aspiridon. There.
Natives of the planet Spiridon and naturally invisible. I'm hoping that it's been doused with fluorescent skin paint.
Yup, and is being watched by spectral topographic cameras to make sure he doesn't escape on our watch.
Good, the boss will be pleased. Some good news for him.
Good news? Why? Is he in one of his moods again? Is it another one of his sad adversaries where he mourns some obscure event in his marriage?
Hey, don't be like that. You and I were the only ones here to witness just how messed up things got between him and Tyler.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. I'm guessing things did not go well in London.
He'll tell us all at the briefing, I'm sure. Right now, get all the results and reports together to present to the others. Joah is likely going to want us to find out more about the Spiridon's poppy operation before he has to report back to the palace.
Sure, see you in there.
Joah. Welcome back to HQ.
Nice to see you in a good mood. Heads up, I will be spoiling it in about 5 minutes.
You underestimate my capacity for optimism.
Perhaps I do. Have you passed on the memo to the others? I'm calling an emergency briefing.
Yes, sir, and I also took the liberty of drafting a request to the Bureau's recruitment team at the Palace's correspondence office to get you a new PA.
Oh, Oliver, you know how I feel about running this place like some kind of publishing agency. Essential staff only. I've already nearly killed the last 2 PAs they sourced for me, and the second was an accident.
I know, and I'm saying this as someone who's known you since you were a rookie CSI for Kent Police. You are about this close to sleeping in this place.
Well, if we don't prove to His Majesty that we're not just the Stasi for aliens, hiring a PA is the last thing I'll have to worry about.
Was it really that bad?
I'll tell you all in the meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a serious problem. The king seems to think that my methods for handling aliens are a bit too extreme. He's considering suspending our operations pending a review.
But that would risk the entire operation we've been running for months with the alien narcotic ring.
Exactly, which is why I was able to persuade the king to give us until the end of the week to bust this operation. Failure is not an option.
Well then, Joah, you'll be pleased to know that we've identified the alien. His Aspiridon. Fleur and Ronnie also found alien poppies on his person which matched the traces of narcotics we found at the Haven Rock Hotel's party suite.
Right. So we have our culprit. Why was it peddling alien narcotics?
He's not saying anything. But Martina's analysis did reveal why the narcotics affected the Zygon teenagers in the way it did at that school kids party a few months back.
And why's that?
The narcotic competitively inhibits the primary enzyme that unzips a zygon's DNA in its variable regions. Zygon's cells need to refresh the DNA assembly to prevent their body prints from slipping up, so when those teenagers were slipped those poppies at a party,
Their shape-shifting ability was disrupted, causing them to be publicly unmasked. And, like the rest of their great generation, the other Gen Zs there decided to crash the internet with a number of alien sighting posts.
All the posts have been scrubbed from all servers thanks to the Bureau supercomputer.
Good. Fleur and Ronnie, you two go down to the cells and get the Spiridon talking, and to prove that we can use something other than brute force, contact Unit's resettlement program. Make him an offer he can't refuse.
Yes, sir.
Oliver and Martina, we need to trace the narcotics back to the source. Did the Spiridon cultivate the poppies himself? Does he have a supplier? Who are they? Alien or human? Where does he fit into all this? Come back to me as soon as you have a lead.
Yes, sir. Martina and I think we may have already found a potential lead. We think he's a middleman working for a supplier. We got an address, it's an old warehouse in downtown Sheffield.
Excellent. Pull everything you can, CCTV, social media, find out who's been going in and out, and then get some boots on the ground. Stake out the place and try and get any information you can out of our informants in the alien underground.
Yes, sir.
And I have a few things I need to take care of in my office. I will come back to oversee the alien interview when I'm done. No, Barnaby, it's not my side of the settlement that I'm worried about. I'm just very aware of how much he already lost 6 years ago because of. Well, the point is I don't want to screw him over more than it seems fair to. We both deserve a fresh start.
Look, Joah, I get it, but you'll have a much harder time convincing the judge that he deserves more than this deal leaves him with. I mean, he's not even attended a single mediation himself. He hasn't got a leg to stand on. And you don't owe him anything.
Yeah, well, it's a lot harder than it looks on paper, Barnaby.
Alright. Look, sleep on it and we'll discuss it at the end of the week. But I advise you to act sooner rather than later. You two have already been separated for a year and, based on your testimonies, it seems like things started falling apart even before then. And many judges don't have a lot of patience for couples who stayed together just because the sex was still good.
Fair enough. Thanks, Barnaby. I'll call you at the end of the week. Oh God, why me? Tyler, why'd you do this to me? Enter ye who dares.
Joah, we've found the... Are you okay?
Yep, fine. What have you found?
So the location we suspected of being the Spiridon's base was a CCTV grey zone. The cameras there are suspiciously low quality.
That is suspicious.
Exactly, so Oliver and I were able to use reverse spectrography from one of the Bureau drone sweeps a few nights ago, and the footage shows the Spiridon going to and fro. It looked like he was running deliveries. He'd leave with the poppies and arrive with something lugged over its shoulder.
So this Spiridon is some kind of middleman. He takes these mystery package to this warehouse and leaves with the poppies. So what? Someone's paying him in narcotics.
Looks like it. Oliver and I scoured all the public records and it looks like the Spiridon was selling the poppies himself and depositing the money in this bank account, which is registered under a fake name.
Wow, an invisible alien registered for a bank account. That's pretty impressive.
Well, that's online banks for you. Pretty easy to set up. You can even exchange and deposit cryptocurrency into some of them.
That may come in handy if we fail this audit. Maybe we'll keep the Bureau running by mining crypto and cashing it into an online bank account.
Is that what the long face was for when I came in? The royal audit?
No, Martin, it's not that. Though I'd be lying if I said that I haven't considered rapid privatization. Then again, I've seen the results of similar efforts by Westminster, and I can't say I'm keen to do the same to the Bureau.
Then what is the problem? I'm sorry, boss, but Ollie and I have known you long enough to know what a Joah Ferjali funk looks like. And you've been in one for about a month now. And we're worried for you.
I appreciate the concern, Martina. You're right, I am in a bit of a funk. But it really has nothing to do with the Bureau. It's personal.
You never used to be so withholding.
If I don't tell you, are you just going to hack my emails and find out anyway?
Hardly a hack when the password is IH8 at 1 I#N5.
Oh. If we pass this audit, I am so revoking your 80 support duties and outsourcing the tech support for this place.
Huh, really? Top secret extra-governmental organization supported by Global Technical Support Limited?
Yeah, you think I'm joking. If you must know, I'm in the process of drawing up a divorce settlement.
Ah, the divorce which you didn't want to file for in the first place?
That's the one. My solicitor is trying to get me to accept a draft of his that will leave Tyler with virtually nothing. And I don't want to leave him with nothing, but inevitably most of our assets are in my name, because I have the fat Bureau paycheck under my belt. And since he's always sent a proxy to all the mediations, the judge isn't likely going to be thrilled with me overcomplicating the case by trying to leave Tyler with more than I owe him.
Well, that sounds awful.
Yep.
I'm really sorry, Joah.
Shit happens. Look, we need to get a move on. The sooner we wrap up this case, the sooner we prove to the king that we're not just here wiping out aliens like Darth Vader, and we all keep our jobs.
Agreed. Oliver and I are going to stake out the Spiriden's base.
Alright, be careful. We don't know what he was dropping off to this site, or to who. Whoever's been supplying the poppies clearly has the means to run a covert drug operation, and could have who knows how many other mules and competitors.
Understood, sir. Recon only. And we'll tread carefully.
I like the historic cells. It's like all the joys of the London dungeons, except one is covered in shiny goo and there's these lovely deadlocks on the doors.
Well, I'm glad you're comfortable. Let's start with some basic questions. What's your name?
Oh, really? That makes a change from earlier. My name is Venfelt.
And when did you arrive on Earth?
Oh, I've been here for years. Ever since that little Torchwood Tower group were running around chasing ghosts.
Wait, since before the Battle of Canary Wharf, so you've been on Earth for 15 years, and you were never apprehended before?
Not once, no. On Spiriden, we developed a technique ages ago where if we changed our diet, our skin and soft tissue would start incorporating pigment from the food into the surface layers of cells. That is, at risk of mild cellular degeneration.
Right, so you made yourself visible and disguised yourself as a human.
That's right. I moved to a lovely spot in the countryside and lived in and ran a human pub for years before coming to Sheffield.
I don't understand. You could blend in, you were making a legitimate living, now you're peddling alien narcotics on the streets. What the hell changed?
More aliens started settling on Earth, that's what. You can't expect different species to coexist with one another and not expect the cultures to clash.
That's why UNIT has a resettlement program, to prevent clashes like this.
I believe the Home Office have said similar things before about other kinds of refugees. How is that actually working out for the asylum seekers?
Slow, inefficient, and inherently unfair. Believe it or not, I can actually sympathize somewhat. But that doesn't answer our question. What happened to your pub, Venfelt?
A group of teenagers came by my pub about 2 years back. There's a lot of anti-alien sentiment these days. And there was this awful group a few years ago who went around wearing armbands with red square patches on them.
Oh god, red doors. I thought they were wiped out back in 2017. In fact, I know they were. I went to great lengths to ensure it.
Oh, I think you were successful. These were just lads, must have heard some chatter on the internet and tried to revive the movement. One of them apparently had footage on their smartphones of the pigment in my hand slipping up when I was working the bar. They'd been spying on me too, it seems, as they knew I'd be locking up when they arrived. They confronted me, trying to get me to confess on camera that I was an alien. When I refused, they torched my pub. It burned to the ground before the emergency services arrived.
So you lost your home, and your business?
That's right. The insurance money was generous, and the teenagers got sentenced for arson and their claims of me being an alien were dismissed. I think it may have even caused them to be declared mentally unstable by the court.
Well, that spares us a cover-up job. So is that when you came to Hallamshire?
That's right. The loss of my pub meant I had to leave behind my skin-dyeing chemicals, which I needed to regularly ingest to stay visible. Within about 3 days after the court case was finalized and the stay at my temporary accommodation was up, I was completely invisible again. I managed to find refuge in a trap street, named Carlisle Boulevard, in downtown Sheffield.
The one that's run by Mother Gold and her commune. Most of our informants live or frequent there.
Yes, that's the one. The gracious ladies helped me find a decent-paying job working from a laptop and put me up in my new home on the street.
That is, until you suddenly got involved with dealing those poppies.
It's more than just dealing. I'm invisible, which means there are plenty of other aliens out there who value my skills.
Tell us about that. We know you visit one of the old warehouses downtown. It's where you get the poppies from, but they're your payment. What is it you give your suppliers in return? Money, the seeds for the poppies, stolen goods.
Look, I've already said too much. By now they already know I've been compromised. They'll have gone to the street by now and probably threatened Mother Gold. Oh gods. I'll have lost everything. Again.
Look, we can help you. You just need to give us more information.
What's the point? My life's over. You think we don't know what you lot do here in your fancy castle? The way you just deport any alien who steps out of line just because we're not subject to human rights. Why would I tell you anything? You're just gonna send me through the rift back to Spiridon, which is currently in the middle of a catastrophic ice age right now, which is why I left. Not that you asked.
You're right. You're absolutely right. We didn't ask. And we should have. Fleer, Ronnie, can you head back to your desks and pull up the public records? You know which ones I mean.
Sure, boss.
Venfeld. Listen to me carefully. I am trying to prove to myself and to the king that I can run this bureau more ethically than I have been. And I have been unethical in the past. You know it, the aliens on Carlisle Boulevard know it, even the king knows it. I can't deny it anymore. I've been way too harsh. And I want to change. So believe me when I say that we can help you. And I want to help you. You just need to tell us what you know, and we will make sure you are sent somewhere safe where you will be well looked after. You may even be able to go back to running a pub like you enjoyed, once the coast is clear. It's like you said, you're not going to be able to return to Trap Street now or stay in Hallamshire. What have you got to lose by letting us help you?
You promise you won't just send me back to my home planet if I tell you?
You have my word. And in my home country that goes a long way.
It also does on my planet. Very well.
Stakeout takeout, my love?
Don't call me your love, we're still at work. I will have some of those poppadoms though.
Oh come on, when was the last time we did something together alone?
It's been over a month. I'm sorry.
Don't be. It's my fault too. It's been tough trying to crack this case, on all of us.
I don't know. I think Joe has been hit the worst. I found out what he was taking care of in his office earlier.
Oh really? What was it?
His and Tyler's divorce settlement. His solicitor is trying to get him to accept a deal that'll screw Tyler over. And he doesn't want to do that.
He is a complicated man, that ex of his. They both are actually. If I were in Joah's shoes, I wouldn't be questioning the deal if it's in his favor.
Yeah, well his sense of fairness will always break through it seems. According to Ronnie, he had a heart-to-heart with the Spiridon back at HQ.
Seriously? That sounds like something he would have only done when Brian was still alive.
I know. Despite this funk of his, I think his whole Earth for the Earthlings attitude is finally waning.
Well, thank God for that. I know we've dealt with some nasty aliens these last few years, but some of the things he was doing...
Shush. Look. Hooded and cloaked figures, clearly not human, but not drawing too much attention to themselves.
Several sturdy-built aliens, some slighter. I think we're dealing with some kind of alliance of species here. That or a book club.
Oh, very funny. What are they reading? 3 Little Sontarans?
That's Ronnie. They've got some more information from the Spiridon. She's saying go to Carlisle Boulevard and talk to Mother Galt and the other informants on the trap street.
Okay, I got photos of the warehouse and our marks. Let's see who knows what.
Well, boss, his story checks out. Pub burnt down in 2018, 3 teenagers convicted and charged. They got locked up in a juvenile hall for 18 months and then sent onto a psychiatric ward after their claims about an alien running the pub were written off as collective delusions and drug use. According to the psychologist reports, they all now believe they were wrong about Venfeld.
Well, that's one less problem to worry about. I managed to get more information from him about his suppliers.
Really? What did he say?
He didn't know the ins and outs of it, only that they're a group of disgraced warriors from warlike race who have all banded together to form their own alien gang, essentially. They all used to live on Carlisle Boulevard until Mother Galt found out the trouble they were causing and banished them.
So what? We're dealing with the alien version of the craze.
Seems like it, though they mostly rule by fear than any actual influence. They're troublemakers with military training, but limited reach. They can't do much as they cannot control the police or banks the way normal gangs can.
Because they are not human and can't pass for it. They don't have access to the same tools of blackmail and extortion.
Exactly. So, instead they're planning on causing a little chaos. Venfeld eavesdropped on them a few times, and got the impression that they want there to be a public divide between humans and aliens. So, they're arming themselves with alien weaponry in preparation for targeted attacks on the public, and putting poppies in the hands of aliens like Venfeld, knowing the drugs would unmask shapeshifters like the Resettled Alien Community. All the while, causing panic and resentment towards aliens and recruiting more aliens to their cause.
Wait, so Venfeld was a courier? He'd use his invisibility to deliver weapons from the alien black market, which we all ignore, and deliver them in exchange for the poppies.
Which he then dealt for a profit. And Joah, you want to offer this alien a resettlement deal?
I believe those were my instructions, Veronica. He may have done some bad things, but we need to prove to the king that we can have some compassion for the aliens we encounter. And right now that means recognizing that Venfeld is a victim in all this too, and deserves our protection. Have I made myself clear?
Yes, boss. Sorry, I meant no disrespect.
You're forgiven. Fleer, Oliver and Martina have gone down to Carlisle Boulevard. I want you to go down there and help them. Ronnie, contact Unit's resettlement program. I want Venfeld in protective custody by this evening, somewhere far away from Sheffield.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh. That's Fleur. She says she's coming down to the boulevard to help with our side of the investigation. She's also said the Spiridon's working for some alien gang that used to operate out of this street, before Mother Galt threw them out.
Well then, we'd best start with her then. I hope Fleur gets here soon. She spent more time here than either of us. Oof.
Oi, watch it.
She's a bit more trusted by the locals, it seems.
Excuse me, gracious lady.
Yes. Human.
We are here on official Royal Intervention Bureau business. We've come to speak to Mother Galt. Is she available?
Ah yes, gracious mother said she'd seen you in her daily foresights. Please follow me to the chapel.
You are not the regular royal agents who frequent our community. Yet I was forewarned by Grazia to expect you both. Welcome Dyer, Oliver and Wright, Martina. How can the gracious ladies be of service to you today?
Thank you for speaking with us, Mother Galt. We are currently investigating one of your tenants. A Spiridon named Venfeld?
Oh, yes. Poor tormented soul. I have no choice but to banish him now, after he brought those horrid thugs back into our peaceful haven.
That's what we wanted to know. Who are these people that he was working for? He told us they used to live here on Carlisle Boulevard, before their criminal activities forced you to evict them.
Yes, it was about 10 years ago now. Long before Venfeld came to live with us, a group of disgraced warrior aliens formed a sort of private club between them. They called themselves the Veterans. Each of them had been cast out from their race's armies, and when they settled on Earth, instead of turning from their violent ways, they sought to cause even more chaos whilst operating in the shadows.
So, they formed an organized crime group.
Indeed. We found out they were recruiting young and vulnerable tenants, essentially for expendable footmen. I gave them one chance to stop what they were doing, but they refused. And so I had to break my oath and eject them by force. Using Grazia's wrath, I cast them from our haven. I unfortunately ended up doing fatal harm to one of them in the process.
Do you keep records of tenants here? Would you be able to give us any information on the various members of this group?
Of course. Here, I keep files on all of the troublemakers we've cast out over the years. I made one just for these veterans, should anything ever happen to me, and the next gracious mother needs guidance.
Thank you, Mother Gold. This will be extremely helpful.
I'm still confused. How did these veterans even come across Venfeld? I mean, if they haven't lived here in so long, and couldn't return.
We aliens like to socialize outside of our communities too, you know. There's all sorts of alien ren haunts where my tenants like to frequent. Unfortunately, this is how the veterans get their claws into my vulnerable wards. All I can do is warn them and have them travel in groups, but even now, the veterans are still hurting this and other communities from afar.
That's terrible. However, if they're operating out of alien social haunts, maybe some of our other local informants might know where these veterans are operating out of. Thank you for your time, Mother Gold. We appreciate you accommodating and assisting us.
A word of caution, young ones.
Yes, gracious mother.
The veterans are unlike any threat you've ever faced. They are a coalition of the worst warlike races in this universe. And they are far more dangerous because they are disgraced, they've no honor or shame anymore. Tread carefully.
Thank you, Mother Gold. I promise you, we will put a stop to their crimes. Your community will be free of these thugs.
May Grazia's light preserve you, gracious fighters.
I can confirm that in the last 6 hours, we have interviewed the Spiritan and found out all we can from him, Your Majesty. My operative is organizing his transfer to unit custody, and I've received Kate Stewart's word that they will ensure his safety.
Impressive, Director Ferjali. It seems you've taken my constructive criticism on board. I will, of course, need to see all the paperwork and evidence of the Spiritan's resettlement.
Of course, sir. I will have it all sent over to the RIB Correspondence Office at the Palais as soon as it's complete.
Thank you, Director Ferjali. That will be all for now. Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir. Ronnie, how's the transfer work going?
Dull and painful. If I wanted to do this every day, I would still be working in the intelligence service.
If I remember correctly, from your recruitment to the Arabi, your former superior said paperwork was something you hardly ever did anyway.
Well, back then, there were other members of staff to do it all for me. Come to think of it, we could use a couple admins around here.
Yes, well, like I've said before, we're an extra governmental agency, not a library. We can't just hire a bunch of young sixth-form college graduates. Everyone in this team has to be carefully vetted and trained before going anywhere near this alien business.
Well, to my understanding, there used to be properly vetted admins around here, before you became director of the whole RIB. What happened to them?
Well, new director, new order. I laid off all non-essential staff. All remaining staff just have to learn to make do with the current setup.
So basically, what you say goes, and no one gets to question it.
Is there something you want to say to me, Veronica?
Well, now that you mention it, yeah. First of all, you're letting a confessed criminal alien off with a slap on the wrists for the first time in the entire time I've worked here. Whatever happened to just chucking them through a temporary rift, back to whatever planet they came from?
I already said in the meeting that we need to show the king that we can be more ethical.
Maybe, but I have never seen you go soft on an alien the way you did with that Spiritan back there. His pub may have burnt down, but how do you know he's not really in on this gang? And we're just letting him go.
He'll be under unit observation for the first few months. If he's not who he says he is, he'll be in even worse trouble with unit than he'll have ever been in with me.
Oh really? I highly doubt that, considering that we've barely got enough people in this castle to keep Sheffield safe, let alone the entire UK. Since you laid off most of our staff.
Right, that's enough. Enough. I reduced the staff of the UK branch because the work we do is more dangerous than in any other sector. I did it to keep our ex-employees, people I knew and worked alongside long before becoming director, keep them safe. And whether you like it or not, Veronica, I am your director. When I tell you to do something with regards to a mission, you do it. No matter how mundane or beneath you think it is, because there is no one else to do it for you. So get off yours and finish the dang paperwork. And you're not going back into the field until it's done. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Asshole.
Bitch.
Ollie. Marty.
Fleur. Just in time, we've just seen Mother Galt. She's just given us this.
Are these?
The identities and species of all the members of the gang the Spiridon was working for.
Oh my god. Suntaran. Judoon. Sycorax. Pteroleptals. Slitheen. We need to get this back to Joah pronto.
Not so fast. Mother Galt also told us that they tend to pick up footmen at local alien haunts in the city. You know the alien haunts better than anyone.
I see. Right. Oliver, head back to Haworth, get this file to Joah and Ronnie. Martina, you and I are gonna ask my regulars if they know anything.
Good plan. See you, Marty.
PDA at work. Sorry, Fleur.
Don't be. It's nice to see a little life in you youngsters.
You're only 3 years older than me.
And I've never felt older. Do yourself a favor, don't turn 30.
Fleur, if you say you're old, I might just reverse engineer that time travel tech we recovered last year and regress you to a toddler.
You know most people usually respond by saying how beautiful I still am.
Well, that too.
Oi, you Zygons. No funny business with the age detectors. I've already had some angry Zygon brood mothers on my back for serving their kids after they manipulated their age.
Chill out, Clyde. It's this one's 21st.
Besides, years are 182 days on Zygor. What do age limits even mean when your clientele all come from different planets, with different stellar orbits?
Yeah, fine.
Welcome, Martina. To the Duggan's Eye. Hidden from most human view by perception filters, but thanks to Joah's mandatory perception filter bypassing training, we can get in nice and easily.
Everyone here is staring at us. Fleur, are we safe?
Miss Klaus, oi look lads, our Mistress of Mayhem is back.
You were saying, Martina? Settle down, you rascals. I'm still on duty. So of course I've ditched that and come down here with you horrible lot.
Grosk sees Miss Fleur has brought a friend with her.
Oh? Where are my manners? Good patrons of the Duggan's Eye, meet my friend and colleague, Martina Wright.
You, are quite popular here, Fleur.
Oh, she's been coming here since before she worked for that Stalinist up at the castle. I wouldn't be too surprised if she had some Arcatinian blood in her with that angel's face.
Oh Clyde, you naughty you Rodney you. What would Danica say?
All right. Settle down. Take a seat, ladies. I'll bring you 2 glasses of your usual, Miss Fleur.
Oh, you read my mind, Clyde.
Boss, I've obtained a file full of intel from Mother Galt. It should tell us everything we need to know about the Spiridon's handlers. And Fleur and Martina have gone off to the Duggan's Eye pub to meet with Fleur's informants for more intel.
Yes, I got a fair bit of information out of Venfeld myself. Very nasty pieces of work from the sounds of it. The things they've done to other aliens who have betrayed them. Makes my actions during the alien purges look pretty merciful by comparison.
Apart from how you handled Madrigal and her Sorvix brood in Chester.
Well, that's different. The Sorvix started it. They shouldn't have invaded Cardiff in the first place.
Still, slow dismemberment is pretty excessive.
What was that? Old friend?
Sorry boss, went under a bridge. I said that the file was pretty extensive. Mother Galt kicked them out of the Trap Street 10 years ago for using one of the houses on the street as some kind of alien weapons drop. I've also got names, backgrounds, and species designations for all the members Mother Galt knew about.
Well, it's been 10 years. Their inner circle may have expanded since then. Let's hope Fleur and Martina's side mission gets us some more answers. I'm running Reb drone surveillance on the warehouse. We have the where. Once we know more about the who, we can find out when they're next meeting.
Righto, boss. Hey. Hold up, what's happening here then?
What is it?
Some idiots running across the dual carriageway, throwing fireworks in front of the... Oh shit.
Oliver, what's going on?
Hooded figures with uneven statures. It's the veterans.
Oliver, those aren't fireworks, those are.
Yep, alien ballistics, got it.
They must have spotted the car during the stakeout. They're trying to get to you. Can you turn off the main road?
Side road in 200 yards. I'm trying to. Ah, damn it. Clipped another car.
Never mind that. Just get off the carriageway.
If they know the car, they know the license plate and model. I gotta ditch it somewhere.
Hang on. I'm sending you a new route to one of our vehicle depots.
Vehicle depots? I didn't know we had those.
Yeah, well, if we fail this audit, it'll be one of the first things to go. Thank God Brian foresaw alien attacks on the M62.
Okay, I'm off the main road. I can see the new route on the sat-nav.
Good. Once you're there, you'll meet a lady called Maud. She'll get her lads to switch the plates and repaint and fix up the old vehicle and give you a new one. All RIB premium issued with bullet and laser-proof plating.
Blimey. How did Brian manage to set up a site like that?
Disgracefully, I heard. Right, SUD national speed limit. Oliver, the quicker you put miles between you and those veterans, the better. Use the bureau phone to signal me when you arrive at the depot.
I will, boss.
Take care, friend.
Paperwork's been completed and forwarded to the Bureau Correspondent's office in London, sir.
Just in time. Rona, I'm gonna need you to run a 24-hour surveillance up on the warehouse. Those veterans just tried to blow up Oliver in his car.
Oh God, is he okay?
He's fine. But we've got 4 days before the king concludes this audit, and I want to make sure those veterans are back on their home planets, or rotting in our black site in Fang Rock, before then.
There he is, ruthless Joah. Nice to see you've come to your senses.
Watch your tone, Veronica. Lest you forget what I told you earlier. I've still got half a mind to have you court-martialed for your outburst earlier.
Right, yes, sorry boss. All I meant was, I'm glad you and I are on the same page again.
Yeah, well, what you said earlier wasn't entirely untrue. We can't afford to throw our cash into the wind just because we want to be nice. Sometimes results are more important than the methods used to obtain them.
Couldn't agree more, sir. I'm sending out Bloodhound drones now in recon mode.
Why the Bloodhound drones?
Because they have guns if we need them.
Right. Carry on.
Oi, Clyde. I didn't just come down here for pleasure. I need something from you.
Oh well. Look, Fleur, you're a bit tipsy and I don't want to be seen like I'm taking advantage.
Ha, Clyde, you numpty. Not like that. I need information. Specifically, I need to know about the veterans.
Oh honey. Look, sweetheart, I'm saying this as someone who knew and respected your father. For the sake of his memory, do not get involved.
I have to, Clyde. It's my job. And my duty.
Fleur, if I tell you anything, they could come for me.
Which is why I'm not asking you directly. All I'm asking is that you point me towards whoever does know. Look, you know who's on my informant list. You see who they're talking to, how they're acting. Nothing gets past you. Please, Clyde, I'm running on a deadline here and we need to bust their op fast before people get hurt. Humans and aliens.
You remind me of an old unit soldier I knew back in the 80s. Okay, love, listen closely. Your man, Dunry the Silurian, he was down on the alien market the other day, and he found out that a huge cache of heat weapons had been stolen from his colony's reserves.
The ones kept in the storage containers on Woodburn Road. Isn't that also where a bunch of other aliens keep artifacts from their escapes to Earth?
That's the one. It pissed off pretty much everyone in the area, because nothing showed up on the cameras. The storage container was open, but it's like the weapons just disappeared.
Yes, we have found the culprit for that. You said it was Dunry who found out about the theft.
Yep. He's been rallying the other youngsters whose communities use the storage units to go patrolling at night. If anyone knows anything, it'll be those kids. You might catch them if you leave now.
Clyde, you superstar. Thank you. Martina, we need to. Martina.
But, if I hear any fights breaking out between different team supporters, all I have to do is press this button, and you'll lose it forever, so behave yourselves. And just plug this in here and, there you go. License-free channels, completely undetectable and full of sports channels. But, if I hear any fights breaking out between different team supporters, all I have to do is press this button, and you'll lose it forever, so behave yourselves.
Ah, cheers darling. You've saved me an extra few quid there, and given me a way to herd these animals.
Ah, you've made yourself at home, I see.
I think I'll have to come back here, Fleur. I love this place.
Maybe I should bring you to the pub quiz. With your knowledge of the alien database, we'll wipe the floor with those suckers.
Sounds nice. I don't think we've gone out together, after hours, for months.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that, hun. It's not personal, I promise.
Don't apologize. I've been awful with making plans too. It's this job. Eats away at you a bit.
Some more than most. I swear Joah's about this close to living at Haworth.
Oliver said the same thing to him earlier. He's going through a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you know him from way back. Like, weren't you him and Oliver all recruited from Kent Police?
Yeah, we worked in the crime lab. Joah was brought on at the RIB as the resident astrobotanist.
Wait, he was an astrobotanist? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got a PhD in plant genetics. I don't blame you for not knowing though. He's not been the most open with you or Ronnie, so I've noticed.
I mean, I don't mind. I was a unit officer before joining the RIB. I understand the chain of command. But him and Ronnie.
I know. I mean, Ronnie doesn't exactly help, but I've never seen Joah lose his cool, like he does with her, before.
I mean, look, you don't have to tell me, but seriously, what's eating Joah? You and Oliver always talk about years ago when it was the three of you in the lab, and the Joah you described is nothing like the one who recruited me. What happened?
Well, I can't tell you everything, but one thing I do know is that the tipping point was back in 2020, when the previous director, Brian, was killed. Joah was on the mission with him, had to make some tough calls. He was never the same after that.
Oh my god. Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I knew Brian died, but I didn't realize Joah was with him. Or that he was killed. I'm guessing that's where Joah's anti-alien sentiment comes from.
Well, ever since the Sorviks invaded Cardiff and destroyed Torchwood, he's been fairly against them. But yeah, the mission with Brian is what escalated his position to what it is now.
Well, I'm not sure now. He was pretty sympathetic with the Spiridon earlier. I think he's starting to see things differently. I hope so. Those guys back at the pub, they're terrified of him. And the things I've heard Joah has done in the past. He's got quite the reputation.
Well, a lot of those rumors will be over-exaggerated and not based on the full story, but Joah's reputation isn't completely unfounded either.
Right. Okay, so Clyde said that if we wanted to get more information on the veterans, we should head to the Woodburn Road storage unit.
The alien lockup.
That's the one. He said one of my informants, a young Silurian, has rallied a bunch of alien youths from the communities that use it for artifact storage after Venfelt stole a bunch of Silurian heat weapons. Maybe they heard something about the veterans plan.
Sounds good. Can we make it the last thing we do tonight? I'd like to make it home to mine and Ollie's place before midnight this evening.
Sure. Can you text Joah to tell him what we're up to? Last time I used the Ribs expense card in the Dogan's Eye, without context, he took it out of my paycheck.
Sure.
I chose the nicest one they had at the car depot. You're welcome.
I'm happy with my Nissan Electric, thank you very much. I'm glad you're okay, Oliver. That was far too close for comfort.
Yeah, tell me about it. I couldn't help but notice the Bloodhound drones flying overhead when I approached the castle. I take it you're turning up the heat on the veterans?
No one tries to blow up someone on my team. Or one of my bloody cars for that matter.
Ha! I knew it was the car that would piss you off the most.
Yes. I'm a very caring individual, aren't I?
Indeed. Has Marty come back yet?
Not yet. She and Fleer have messaged. They've been probing some of Fleer's informants, and one of them pointed her in the direction of the Woodburn Road storage unit. Turns out, the Silurian colony that runs the key cutters in town was keeping an unregistered catch of hit weapons there.
Ah, and so I'm guessing Venfelt decided to take them off their hands?
That's right. It's caused a commotion among the alien youths in the area, and a group of them have taken to patrolling the storage unit. Fleur thinks they might know something more about the veterans. If we're lucky, we might be able to set up a sting operation, and take out the whole operation by the end of the week.
Oh well, that's good news.
Yeah. But like most good news, it comes conjoined with bad news too.
Oh. Let's hear it.
Come to the meeting room, I want to show you something. I think I might know how the veterans learned about the Silurian weapons catch. So I've compiled all the info in the folder, done some extra digging and built up a case board. This, Oliver, is everything we know about who we're dealing with here.
Oh, God. This is like someone took all the worst species below the Daleks, and
put together a cast for the next Expendables film. Commander Skay of the 29th Suntoran Battle Fleet, General Krail of the 12th Sycorax Legion, Granfalbach Pessimerde Slitheen, Karen Gore of the Terra Leptila Opposition Army, Captain Fraud of the Shadow Proclamation, Commander Rune of the Zygon Liberation Movement, and, finally, Sester of the Silurian Colony.
Ah, right. So that's how they knew about the weapons cache. Sester must have known or found out.
Well, according to this report from the storage facility, the storage unit the weapons were being stored in was only rented last week.
Joah. I can't help but notice that at least 2 of the veterans come from communities settled in the city.
No, I noticed that too. I have a feeling this is how they've been recruiting aliens, using their community connections first, and then widening their net to other communities through mutual connections.
If we bust this up, we're going to need to be careful. Arresting and deporting influential members of the alien underground might not go down well. And we're trying to prove to the king that we can be ethical.
Yes, I can see that. Oliver, what are we gonna do? Usually I have no problem with deporting aliens, especially ones as dangerous as these. But if we cock this up, the Bureau will get suspended.
Well, you may not like it, but I do have an idea.
Let's hear it.
Maybe you should give Kate Stewart a call.
What?
She was the one who called us in when they first got reports from the Zygon operatives that their kids were exposed to the poppies and their shape-shifting went haywire. She converted UNIT from a purely militarial organization to one led by scientific advisors. If anyone understands how to rebrand an extra-governmental organization quickly, it's her.
You're not wrong there. We could use the manpower, to be honest. Unit personnel with the correct training to help deal with ETs is better than tapping into the Sheffield Armed Police Forces.
Exactly, and it might show the king that we're more open to cooperating with other organizations when need be.
Alright. I'll make the call. And Oliver.
Yes, boss?
I've set up the staterooms in the castle, and had one of our support teams retrieve clothes and toiletries for everyone. I don't want anyone going home until we've booked these guys. Understood?
Righto. Thank you, Joah.
Skasher.
All right, aliens, listen up. If these second-rate thugs think they can steal from us, they've got another thing coming.
Too right.
Here.
We've all got stun guns, but remember, only use them if necessary. If you see any shady characters, set off your personal alarms and blind them with the pepper spray and wait for backup.
Well, that may keep you safe from getting assaulted on a night out, but I can assure you it's not a very effective patrol tactic, kiddo.
Who's there?
Oh, calm down now. I come in peace.
Fleur. Chill out, everyone. This is Fleur. She works for the Royal Intervention Bureau.
Wait, she works for that Sorvik-slaying lunatic up at the castle. And you trust her?
Oi. Chill out, Querta. Her boss may be a dick, but Fleur's cool. She helped take down that Shadow Proclamation escapee, who was murdering his fellow inmates from the prison break.
Fine. But I'm keeping my stun gun on maximum.
She's got some fire in her belly. Where'd you find her?
We all got together at the Alien Youth Center. You hear about the break-in?
Yep, Clyde from the Dogan pub told me you lot might know something about the ones who did it.
You're from the murder castle. Why should we tell you anything? Don't you lot, like, go around killing aliens?
Actually, we go around protecting people from aliens who are abusing their powers on Earth and threatening the public. That includes those aliens who are also threatened by these criminals. Including all of you.
What she said. Look, I don't expect all of you to trust me. But you all trust Dunry, otherwise you wouldn't be out here. Gunry is one of my top informants, and I trust him, which means I trust all of you. Surely that's got to count for something.
It does for me. Listen, you lot, if she says she's trying to help, she means it. And let's face it, we could use all the help we can get.
All right, fair.
Thanks, kiddo. Right, so let's start off with the biggest question. Do any of you know who you're dealing with here?
My tri-parents told me that it was this band of thugs, called the Veterinarians or something.
Yeah, I heard that from one of Mother Galt's nuns. Where is Veterinaria? Isn't that in the Arkham system?
I hope not. Arkhams are mostly liquid. We shoot one of them with a stun gun, it'll go all over our coats.
No, you numpties. They're called the Veterans, and they are not a species. They are a bunch of different aliens who've banded together because they got kicked out of their own kind's armies.
Right, okay, so someone put commodes instead of coats in the newsletter, I see. Dunry, how did you find out about them?
Well, my gene line and I reviewed the footage. It looked like the actual thief was an invisible alien. I decided to check with Mother Gold first, and she told me she had a Spiridon living on the trap street, though he'd not been around his house during the day for quite some time, only coming in at night.
Wait, you found out about the Spiridon? Why didn't you report it? We could have used that information weeks ago.
Well, I didn't think he was part of an alien gang at the time. I just thought he was trying to make a quick buck by selling the heat weapons he stole. They're considered antiques on the alien black market, you know.
Okay, so how did you find out he was working with the Veterans?
Well, they'd come into the youth club multiple times, trying to get kids to do some package runs and that sort of thing. Drugs mostly. Like those pteroleptilian poppies. And then some of our Zygon mates from school were unmasked at that party. We asked them where they got the gear from, and they said they got it from a Spiridon who was dealing around their estate. So I put 2 and 2 together and figured he must have been supplied the poppies by the Veterans.
Wait, you figured all that out on your own?
I told you he was good.
Cheers, Fleur. I asked around these guys here to see if any of their lot were storing anything else that could be weaponized, and that's when I learned from Querta here that the demilitarized Sycorax settlement just outside the city are storing one of their old blood control devices here. And it's preloaded with a bunch of different blood samples, including those from every species known to be settled here in Sheffield.
Which, if the Veterans get their hands on, they could use to bring about a new round of alien riots.
Or use to control the other aliens in the city to do their dirty work.
Well, in either case, we're here to make sure that doesn't happen. The device is in this container here. And we're doing around-the-clock surveillance on it and all the entrances.
Well then, we'd better maximize your patrol tactics then, shouldn't we?
Fleur, we can't encourage these children into defending this thing from trained, ex-military aliens who are literally bred for war.
Hey lady. Who are you calling a kid? I'm 40 years old.
You're also a Sycorax, which means you're the Earth equivalent of a 15-year-old. So you are a kid, and you shouldn't be out here unsupervised. None of you should.
All right, Martina, all right. Look guys, I hate to say it, but she's right. You're untrained, unprepared, and, most importantly, do any of your parents know you're out?
I snuck out.
No.
Well then, you've told us about the device, so we're going to take it back to Haworth Castle where we can keep it safe. Will you help us load it into the car?
Depends. Will you give it back?
Oh, come on, Querta. It's a weapon, for goddess sake.
Look, it's still part of Sycorax culture.
I'm an expert in alien engineering. I can render the device useless, that way we can return it to you as a relic once the RIB have stopped the Veterans. Would that be agreeable to you, Querta?
Yeah, I guess so. I've got the combination to the unit here. What? I don't understand.
Hang on. I can taste something in the air, a metallic tang. Stands out in the storage unit smell.
The scanner is registering traces of an Einstein-Rosen bridge, and traces of metal in the air are consistent with Sontaran remote teleportation technology.
So they got the device. Took it whilst we were out here chatting.
No, the metallic traces are much fainter than from a recent transmat. From the tastes of it, they got the device hours ago.
And now the Veterans have everything they need to cause all hell to break loose.
They what? Okay, no, it's fine, I'm fine. Listen, get back here as soon as you can. One of the Bloodhound drones will tail you from the air in case you need backup.
What's wrong, boss?
Roddy switched the nearest of the Bloodhounds to AI defense mode to follow Fleer and Martin's car. They've just found out from one of Fleer's irregulars that the veterans now have a Psycho-X blood control altar.
Like the one from the 2006 Christmas invasion.
That's the one. And the best part. It's preloaded with blood samples from pretty much every alien in Sheffield.
What? But that would mean...
The city is either about to erupt into civil war, or the veterans are about to get a horde of new recruits.
Shit. What are we gonna do? Joah, I can order a strike on the warehouse. We can take them out in one go.
Hang on. What has the surveillance picked up in the last few hours?
Okay, so it looks like most of the veterans left the warehouse about 20 minutes ago. AI drone surveillance then shows them all splitting off to various different safe houses. They haven't moved since.
Wait, hang on. They just got their hands on a catch of different weapons, which they could use to take control of the entire city. Why would they suddenly all split off and go home?
In my experience, there's only two reasons why a gang, of any kind, would steal weapons and goods. Either to use them, or to sell them.
Sell them? You think they're dealing these weapons?
It stands to reason they would. They have no political or financial power. They cannot control the typical institutes human gangs have typically gained control of in the past. Each one of them is part of disgruntled alien communities living on Earth. If I were them, instead of initiating a riot themselves, I'd put the weapons in the hands of people who know how to use them and let them go to town.
So, we should be looking for whispers of a weapons buy on the alien black market.
I should think so, yeah. Martina has been developing this project that monitors alien tech communications, sort of like wiretapping the same universal frequencies the different alien tech runs on. When she gets back, maybe we can get her to fire it up.
Sounds quicker than asking every alien in Carlisle Boulevard. They're about 30 minutes out. I don't know what to do until then.
May I suggest a nap, boss? You've been non-stop all day, and we need you to be wide-eyed and focused for this next bit. World's not going to stop turning if Joah Ferjali closes his eyes for 30 minutes.
Fair enough. Oliver's having a snooze now. We'll set up a sleep rota when everyone's back. We're in for an all-nighter.
EA, just like university. Except instead of wading through coursework, we'll be sifting through alien text messages. Actually sounds fun, if it weren't a life-threatening situation.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see you found some humor in our predicament. I'm going to lay down. The good old staterooms. What I would give to life here. Oliver was right. I really was on track to end up sleeping here this morning. Right team, I appreciate we're all tired. I've set up a sleep rota for the next few hours, but I want to brief you all on what Ronnie and I have discovered this evening. Ronnie?
Right. So, we were running off the assumption that the veterans gang were intending to use the stolen alien technology themselves. They're currently in possession of Silurian heat weapons and a Sycorax blood control altar, preloaded with blood samples from various aliens and humans.
Jesus. They could bring around a whole new wave of alien riots.
Well, they could. But based on their movements, I think the veterans are merely hired muscle for the real culprits.
What do you mean?
I mean that the veterans aren't planning to use the technology themselves. We have reason to believe that they are selling to another group. Likely other aliens, but we haven't ruled out any human groups. That is where you come in, Martina.
I will fire up the ET transmissions interception algorithm and see if I can find any traces of the buy.
No need to stay sentinel all night, Martina. I take it you've already shown Oliver how to use the program?
Yes, boss.
Very good. Oliver and I will take the first shift. You three ladies get some shut-eye. I'll reach out to my contacts at GCHQ see if they can find any human communications indicating a human buyer, as well. Everyone understand?
Yes, boss.
Right, well, I'll take a moment to congratulate you all for the work you've done so far. In less than a day we've caught the alien drug dealer, and have come several steps closer to busting this up once and for all. Small victories, everyone, remember them. Meeting adjourned.
Right, it looks like we've got a location for the buy. Whoever the buyers are, they want to make the transfer at the abandoned soft play center. Tomorrow night at 9 p.m.
Oh great, as if they couldn't choose a spookier spot.
What's spooky about a children's play center?
Ever played Five Nights at Freddy's?
Touché. By the way, it sounds like you and Ronnie have patched things over.
How did you know we'd fallen out?
Joah, they are women, they talk. And the benefits of dating women means you tend to be privy to that gossip.
I'll have you know the gay community is just as gossipy as a group of women are. But you're right, Ronnie and I did come to blows this afternoon. But we've sorted it now. You know, I feel like a terrible boss at times, lording my authority over her like that. But I wouldn't need to pull rank if she only listened.
I don't think it's the fact that she doesn't listen that's the problem. I think it's the fact that you don't always explain yourself very well to her.
I'm her superior, not her friend. I shouldn't have to explain to her.
And yet, it would improve her respect for you if you did. Every now and then, explain yourself to her. Because she's not like me and Marty. She doesn't know you outside work.
Fair enough. I know I've not made myself the most approachable. But you can see why, can't you? That I'm only trying to keep you all safe.
Of course I can. But on balance, we did all sign contracts to say we understood the risks of working here. And Ronnie's ex-Secret Services. She's used to danger.
Yes, and that level of comfort she has will only result in her getting killed. We are not Torchwood. We don't put our members at unnecessary risk. And besides, when it comes to being harsh versus taking a softer approach, Ronnie even said earlier she prefers my ruthless side.
Alright, I see your point. But listen, old friend, you need to loosen up with her. You can be ruthless when you need to be, but she'll respect you a lot more if you're less harsh with her.
Okay. I'll give it a whirl.
Thank you. Ah. The algorithm's locked onto an IP address for the suspected buyers.
Really? Right, we'll set up a tap and check out their recent activity. And get their geolocation as well.
On it. Okay, it looks like they're based on the other end of the city from the Veterans Warehouse. Hang on, that's the shopping center.
Seriously? Well, actually that makes sense. Hide in plain sight. Use the sublevels of the center so as not to arouse suspicion, and finally, it's full of human and alien clientele, so it's the perfect place for blood control.
It looks like they're using some kind of computer hub based on the activity. If I use the subwave network to covertly hack the security feed.
Ah, yes. You've done well. And here I was thinking you loads were only good for fetching and carry. But you've held up your end of the bargain wonderfully, Commander Sky.
Yes, and I trust you'll hold up yours at the rendezvous tomorrow night.
Of course. This country alone is riddled with malcontent alien groups just waiting to spark an insurrection against these greedy humans. You've helped supply the revolution, Commander.
And what a glorious revolution it shall be. Santa ha.
Yes, Santa who. Are you sure those nuisances from the castle aren't going to be an issue?
Absolutely. We're one step ahead of them. They only found out about the blood control device long after we stole it. And we used explosives to intimidate another one of them heading for the castle. If they know what's good for them, they'll stay away.
I'm not sure I like the sounds of those odds. This weapons drop could be risky, Commander.
My veterans and I are some of the finest warriors in the galaxy. If this pesky bureau does not comply with our authority, we will crush them.
Well, these humans are pretty fragile. Alright, this drop may proceed as intended. Meet me at the rendezvous point at the allotted time. I will have the credits ready.
Message received loud and clear. Commander Sky out.
Yes. And may the age of Earth's colonization begin.
I've cut the feed, but the subwave will have reprogrammed itself to find him again if necessary.
Did you see his face? It was like something out of a horror movie. Like a crocodile snout, made of bones and way too many eyes.
I have a feeling that's not his natural state. It looks like he might have suffered some disfigurement, either before or after arriving on Earth.
Well, regardless. We have the time, the place, and the people. Compile all the information all over. I need to contact UNIT immediately and request a SWAT team.
Got it, boss.
Get me Kate Stewart. Tell her it's Joah Ferjali from the Royal Intervention Bureau. Miss Stewart? It's Mr. Ferjali. We've found the culprits responsible for the alien narcotics here in Sheffield. We can take out this operation in one blow, but I need to borrow a SWAT team. Oh. Yes. Thank you. I've just sent all the details. Have the men briefed and prepared for an assault like no other. Right, Oliver, that's enough for one night. Set the bloodhounds to AI surveillance mode, and go wake the laddies. Have them keep running surveillance for a few more hours.
Got it, boss. Good night.
Nathan.
People of our sanctuary, the gracious ladies of my commune and I regret to inform you that our sanctuary has been violated. One of our own was turned against us, turned against our common law. Venfold, the Spiridon. The gracious ladies and I are working with the ex-military residents of the boulevard to put together a security force within the street. And, until the matter of Venfold's betrayal is resolved by the RIB, the curfew announced last night is to remain in place. This will be in line with the other trap streets and alien communities in the area. The elders of each group and I have now formed a council, looking out for the common good of our various peoples and their right to live on this planet in safety.
Then, why are you liaising with those castle bunch?
Yeah, they hate us. Their leader makes the last US president look like a sore rat, in comparison.
I assure you that our allegiance with the RIB has been ensured by the very constitution which holds their organization together. If they wish to remain as protector of humanity in this kingdom, then they must concede and protect the alien refugees who walk amongst them in peace. And might I remind you, that some of you have happily fraternized and befriended members of that organization, and I hope that the resolution of this terrible tragedy will pave the way for better relations between the alien underground and the RIB. Now, I ask each of you keep to the curfew strictly. No one must be out after 8:30 p.m. And no one is to leave the boulevard unaccompanied. Please travel in groups.
Well, that was Mother Galt's receptionist. They said she's extended the curfew and reinforced the group traveling only policy.
Well, let's hope she only has to uphold it for one more night. I've spoken to Kate Stewart. We have a SWAT team ready to storm the children's soft play center this evening.
And I have pulled up floor plans and highlighted the most likely place they'll make the exchange. There's an old staff entrance round the side of the building which they'll likely use to gain access due to the front being in the direct view of a nearby street camera. Once inside, they'll likely make the exchange here, the old parents' cafe, a partially sealed off area across from the jungle gym.
They'll likely have someone guarding the exits here and here, so Fleur and I are going to knock them out with the same tranquilizers we used on Venfeld. Strategy is simple. Me, Fleur and Joah are going to be leading the different groups in the SWAT team, take out the guards on all 3 exits and storm the place right before the exchange.
And Martina and I will be coordinating the efforts from here, guiding you through the headsets. And most importantly, keeping an eye on the veterans to make sure they don't get away. We'll have the bloodhounds on standby for aerial support.
Right, everyone. We have been working towards this for months now. Failure is not an option. If it weren't for UNIT's assistance, we wouldn't be in a position to take them out like this. And remember, non-lethal force only. I don't want to report back to the king at the end of this week with nothing to show for it other than a pile of dead alien bodies. Understood?
Yes, boss.
Right, everyone make sure you've read the briefing sheet, and make sure you're ready to leave by 7:30 sharp. The UNIT SWAT team will be with us at 5 p.m. to make sure we're all geared up and ready.
Commander Sky. All their weapons are ready for transport to the drop-off. We've acquired a truck that looks enough like the ones that always park at the site to make it look unsuspicious.
It matters not whether it looks suspicious or not, because by tonight, we shall all be getting off this miserable planet.
Yes. About that.
Oh? You are having second thoughts.
Of course not. I want to find the Silurian arcs and bring them back here more than most of my colony do, it seems. But
what? Speak, lizard.
The others and I feel as though we are putting too much trust into this collector. We've never seen him before, nor has he given us any reason to trust him. The only reason we went along with this whole thing is because we all got fed up with peddling pteroleptal narcotics to children.
So what? Are you proposing we bring insurance? We're a bit low on weapons, in case you haven't noticed. We've sold most of ours.
Not weaponry. Just a backdoor escape route.
A remote tri-teleporter. I see. Too afraid to face the unknown, so you plan to abandon your post at the first sign of trouble, do you?
Of course not. We just don't see why we should put our lives on the line, when we could ensure that as soon as we have the money, we can leave with our heads still attached.
By we, you mean who exactly? That teleporter only has enough capacity to transport 3 people.
Karin and Granfell.
Of course. The usual suspects. The only 3 species who are known to happily abandon their combat customs to survive. Very well, when you've all disappeared and go running off into the universe, know that you will all be branded as criminalized cowards within the Sontaran Empire's borders.
I'm over 66 million years old. I can live with a target on my back. Especially one from a rapidly shrinking empire.
Watch your tongue, lizard. Regardless of how venomous it may be, I won't hesitate to cut it out if you make a mockery of Suntar.
Of course, Commander. Apologies.
Okay, the veterans have just pulled up. It looks like the Sycorax and the Zygon are watching the doors. They've left the front door unguarded. I suggest that Alpha and Beta team take out the guards and make contact. Once there, Omega team can storm through the front door and get the other 3 veterans.
Thank you, Oliver. Did you get that, Major?
Loud and clear, Mr. Ferjali.
Ferjali, bloody English people.
What was that, sir?
Bloody awful place, Major. That South Place Center was the site of a terrible accident a few years back. A climbing tunnel collapsed with several kids inside. Left them all with terrible injuries.
Right, well. I doubt any of my soldiers will fancy frolicking around in the tunnels once we bag these bastards.
I don't know. Adult play centers are a thing now.
Approaching site.
The guards aren't able to see the quarter of the car park you've pulled up in. We've got the bloodhounds hovering above the center, ready to engage if required.
Thanks, Martina. Right, Major, you know the drill. Get in, take out the guards, take out the veterans and secure the weapons.
Understood, sir. Right, men. Move. Out.
You're sure this is the right place?
A Sontaran never forgets a rendezvous point.
Ugh. I can smell chips and... oh gods. Acetic acids? What is this place? Some kind of death row for children?
Worse. A zoo for hatchlings.
The former nature of this place is of no concern. Have you brought the universal credit devices?
Here.
Thank you, Pterodactyl. Collector, we are here. And we have the weaponry. Show yourself.
No need to shout, Commander. I'm right in front of you.
Oh. Camouflage clothing. Crude, but effective.
All I have is crudeness these days. Ever since that infernal rift flare. You have the weapons. Show me.
You doubt our genuinity?
Most species tend to put less honor on people's word alone, Sky. As you can see, all the weapons are accounted for. Have you brought the money?
A deal is a deal. This will transfer the agreed balance to each of you. More than enough to get off this miserable mud ball.
The only place you'll be going is to my dungeons.
Unit armed forces. On the ground, now.
A Sontaran never surrenders.
I'm hit. Oh, I feel.
That's what happened to your guards. And now your leader. Get on the ground now.
What is that in your hand?
Get us out of here.
It's a teleport. No.
Oh. Well, how like a bunch of deserters. No ride for me, Go on, I dare you, murderer.
I am no murderer. You, on the other hand, are certainly a criminal. I hope you like grey, because you'll be seeing a lot of it from the confines of your cell.
Oh, well, it isn't that quaint. Joah Ferjali has lost his nerve, has he? Can't bring himself to kill another alien after the trail of bodies he's left, so he's just going to lock them up instead.
How do you know who I am? Who are you?
I'm the person you did this to.
Oh, I may be brutal, but I know my handiwork, and that's not it. You, my friend, are suffering from injuries no human could ever make.
You really don't know it, do you? Don't you remember? 3 years ago, in Barbados,
How do you know about that?
I was there. I watched the fire, the flood. I watched how you crawled out of that wreckage, with his body in your arms. What was his name? Brian.
Enough. Get those four to lock up.
Are you alright, boss?
I'm fine. Just lock up those alien scumbags and throw away the key. Come in.
Hey, bud.
Hey, bud. Everything alright?
I was going to ask you the same. I heard what that alien said to you over the comms. How are you feeling?
Like crap. I've carried the weight of Brain's death for 3 years. And now, it turns out, I also have to carry the fact that my actions that day disfigured an innocent bystander. And now he hates me.
But that wasn't your fault. Look, you have done some pretty nasty things to a lot of nasty aliens, but this one really was an accident. And let us not forget that you saved millions if not billions of people that day.
At what cost? My morality. My family. My marriage.
You are still moral, Joah. And you still have your family. Including me and Martina.
He could do worse, I suppose.
Ha! Don't push it. I suppose it's not too bad being mates with someone who practically lives in a castle.
Oh, please. I'm hardly the first alien fighting group leader to have lived in. Oh.
Oh? I know that look. What are you thinking?
I need to call my solicitor. Thank you for checking in on me, Ole.
Sure, boss. Martina and Fleur are heading down to the Duggan's Eye pub tomorrow night, if you want to join.
I doubt I'll be welcome there. Another time though, maybe.
Okay. See you later.
Barnaby. Yes, sorry I know it's late, but this is important. I think I've got some revisions to the divorce settlement. I'll need to confirm things in my meeting with my boss tomorrow, but if you can just let me know, best case scenario, if this is feasible, that'd be great.
Director Ferjali of the Royal Intervention Bureau, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty.
Director Ferjali. I ensured all the staff received the correct pronunciation of your name ahead of your visit this time.
Thank you, sir. That's thoughtful.
Please, do sit down.
Thank you, sir.
So, in 1 week, you've apprehended the culprits of the Hallamshire alien narcotics ring, got the drugs off the streets and collaborated successfully with UNIT. I must say, Director, I was unsure whether you'd take my feedback on board. I'm glad you have.
Thank you, sir. I am grateful for the feedback. Suffice to say, I have been a little iron-fisted with my administration. This way of doing things. It's not always easy, but it comes with much less guilt afterwards.
I'm glad you see my point of view. That said, I will be keeping the RIB under close observation. To make sure this newfound non-lethal force policy of yours actually holds true with time.
Of course, sir. I wouldn't have it any other way.
And I will be increasing your annual budget.
Really?
Yes. This mission, while impressive, also highlights that some of the recent cutbacks need to be reversed immediately. I expect you to use the budget to finance our own armed response team. And get some more employees to work at the UK branch. Starting with a PA for you. Whatever you do with the rest will be up to you. With palace approval, of course.
Your Majesty, you have been so generous. I cannot thank you enough.
But...
I had intended to ask you for something before coming here today. But asking for it now would seem, I fear, impertinent.
Not at all. Ask and you may receive.
Well, sir, I've noticed that I was able to work effectively at the Bureau this week because I scarcely left it. I was wondering if you'd consider allowing me to live at Haworth. At least while I'm director. It would mean I would always be ready for action, whenever the alarms sounded, and it would definitely ensure that the Bureau has a constant custodian after hours. What do you think?
I think it's a very sensible idea. Lord knows there's plenty of room in that castle. However, I can't help but wonder why a young man would want to live in a castle, very removed from the bustle of the city he's lived in for 6 years. Don't you want to have a house of your own? Have friends over, family?
Honestly, sir, I'd much rather put some distance between myself and the outside world right now. It's not a nice place.
Because of the divorce?
Yes, sir. Among other things. I can't keep getting distracted. If I have to give up parts of my life outside work to do this job, then that's exactly what I'll do. It's my duty. For Brian.
I understand. If you think it'll benefit the Bureau, then the castle is yours, for as long as you are director. When would you like to move in?
Thank you, sir. Is today too soon?